I think it's an ongoing process for me to learn what to like say yes to and what to say no to. And I know everyone says that and it's not rocket science, but it's something that you have to continually look at for yourself.
Welcome to Mommispace. My name is Brianna Bernhard, your hostess, and I am a new mom. I selfishly created this podcast to get some advice and inspiration from the moms in my community who are doing amazing things while raising their families. I've realized motherhood is hard, but knowing I'm not alone in this call makes all the difference, and I hope you feel refreshed as you listen. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome back to Mommispace. This is Bree, and today I am here with the one and only Jesi Haack. Welcome to the show, Jesi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you tuned into the Thread the Future podcast, you know that I did an interview with Jesi, and it was so good. She's just so full of life and fun and just all around an amazing person. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about motherhood. And yeah, but before we dive in, tell us a little bit about yourself for those of our listeners that didn't hear our other podcast, where you're located, a little bit about your family life.
Well, I am in Southern California in Costa Mesa, and I am married to Ryan Haack, who is one of the most perfect humans on the planet. And then I have 4 kids with that man. Jonah is 11. Maverick is 7. River is going to turn 6 in a couple weeks. And then Emerald is 2.5 and a terror. So 2 boys, then 2 girls, living the good life. Yes. And wondering why. Well, we never really did decide to have 4 kids, but it's a doozy.
That's awesome. Right, you guys got pregnant pretty early, right? Is that
Yeah, we got pregnant early on accident, and then just kept getting pregnant on accident, which is going to make it sound like we don't know birth control, but we do. We just tried everything, and
no big deal.
We were like that 0.1% on everything.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny how that works sometimes. All right, so also for those of you listening that don't know Jesi Haack, she has a design company. And so I'd love for you to share a little bit about that before we kind of dive in, asking about like how being a mom fuels what you do and all of that. But could you just give us an overview of your company?
Yeah. So I own a company called Jesi Haack Design. It started about 10 years ago. I started in wedding planning, and then about 4 years in, I transitioned into design only. And still, I mean, it's a little bit more like common now, but at the time I was making a move that I wasn't sure was gonna like stay.
Yeah.
Because there really wasn't event designers back then. Like you were either a planner / designer or a florist / designer. So I was really unsure if anybody was going to see value in what I was doing. But by the grace of God, I am still doing it. So
yeah.
And probably 2 years ago, I partnered with one of my very good friends, Hallie. She has a company called LB Events. She started using me to design her weddings, and we started a company. Okay, so this is a funny story.
Yeah.
So we decided we should so we went out to like grab drinks to talk about one of our like jobs, right? Like very professional. We had too many drinks, and then we were like, dude, we should do every corporate job we get together. Cause we had we'd gotten a couple jobs with Revlon, and we were like, she always does like the planning logistics, and then I'll do the creative side. And we were like, we should do this together always. Like it's way more fun together. And so we were like, dude, let's start a company. And so we secured a domain and the Instagram account of Vested Productions, but we couldn't for the life of us remember how we got to that name. Like I remember
my gosh.
I remember looking on thesaurus.com. That's all I remember, right? we're like, oh, cool. And I remember us being like, we can wear vests. And like,
Oh
we
my
decided
word.
people would wear different vests depending on like their level. I mean, it's like this
That's
brilliant business model. And then seriously, okay, so then we start doing like we're very busy with corporate work now and weddings. She does her weddings with her team, and then I do my weddings. My weddings are like I don't do as many. So that we started talking about how like okay, so all these corporate jobs we've been really challenged like creatively because we're just using the weirdest materials and always like our glue like choices never work. So we're always like we need to invent a glue. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to call it Haack glue. And she got super offended because she's like, why is my name not in there? And I was like, dude, your name is Hallie and it's called Haack glue. Like
Hey, there you
obviously
go.
get the first half of the name. You're like, whatever. And so just recently we were on a job and we haven't like officially launched Vested Productions. Like we have the website built. We have email addresses for everyone. We have t-shirts printed and like, but we hadn't like officially launched it on Instagram or whatever, you know?
Uh-huh.
And so we were recently in Phoenix on a job and we started talking about the glue again because we do every time because we never can get things to stick. And she was complaining again about how the name wasn't like her name. And then she goes, okay, so her last name is Slade. So she goes, we should call it Slack glue. And then like we both stopped and we like looked at each other and we were like Slack Productions. And we were like, why didn't we think about that? So
That's
changed everything. So we
that's
changed the
amazing.
domain. We had to like halt printing on our business cards. So anyways, that's
Wow.
the story. And now we do a corporate company called Slack Productions. So I have Jesi
That's
Hack Design
awesome.
and I also have Slack Productions with a business partner.
That's amazing. And a way better name. I'm glad that you guys stuck with
Oh, right.
Slack.
And then we call like our staff, we call them Slackers, which I
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And are you still gonna do the glue?
mean, I feel like I need to. I just don't even
Yeah.
know where to begin with that.
Yeah. Okay, so for our listeners who don't know like what you're talking about as far as glue goes, you I don't know. I remember when I first talked to you, I was like, "Wait, so how does this work? Like, what do you do for weddings? Like, you do like huge like one-time installations often, right? Like
Right.
for different companies. So you're
Right.
you're basically like setting an environment for an event, like making it really beautiful or like quirky whatever to like the your whoever's asked you to do it, right? Like to whatever they want. Is that right?
Yeah, so we will come in and kind of, I mean, our like job description is all over the place. So we will do physical installations, like custom built things that like hang or like stand, like weird installations. Um, Basically, we'll do like trade show booths for brands. We do like launch parties, product launch things, advertising campaigns. LaCroix is one of our main clients, and we do like a lot of their events where they're
Mm-hmm.
sponsoring things. So we'll build out their footprint in whatever event it is, so that they have a creative. Like we are specialists in building Instagrammable moments because
Yes.
we believe that like all these corporations are spending all this money to like
Mm-hmm.
do these events, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
sponsors, the blah blah blah, and like the way to get the most for their buck is to make the space look really cool, so that not only are they getting their brand out to like whoever's in that at that event, but
Mm-hmm.
also they are inspired to take pictures or to participate in something, and then they're putting it on social and they're hashtagging and tagging the company.
Yeah.
It like creates this whole new arm of free marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So really we do so many different things, like, and then we've gotten a lot of business right now for like more permanent installations. Like we
Mm-hmm.
just did a huge wall treatment for this production company called Awesomeness TV, and then we did something at the Beverly Center for Fox Ferdinand, the
Wow.
out. So like it's weird. It's like transitioned from this
Okay.
very specific thing to like something so much more broad, but like
Mm-hmm.
really exciting, you
Yeah,
know?
that's super exciting. Wow. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of moms are wondering at this point, like, okay, you have 4 kids, and how do you do this? Because your husband also has his own company, right?
Yes. So my husband's a photographer. Um, he owns Foxes and Wolves with his business partner, Aaron Shintaku.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also run a studio called Wolf Camp Studios in Costa Mesa. It's a photography studio. So it's offices in the front, and then they rent out the back for shoots and stuff like that.
Okay,
So
cool.
he's just as, I mean, yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like the easy answer to that question is Ryan, like my husband. I could never do this if I didn't have his support because we have 4 kids. So like we don't have like regular childcare. Like we have someone watching my youngest on Tuesdays and Thursdays so that I can like work. But I travel so much for my job. So if he wasn't on board with this, and sometimes he's not on board with it.
That's fair.
Like I just got home from a 6-day trip and it's like he's so over it, which is so fair, but I couldn't do it if I didn't have him, who like is so hands-on with our kids, and so like it's almost like he's more of the like prominent parent in their life because of just his personality. He's like so in,
Wow.
And so it allows me to like go places, but then also like because his schedule is flexible, like we can do the same. So when he has a trip out of town, it just has worked out, thankfully. And my family will come down and watch our kids at the drop of a dime. They live 7 hours north, but like if we both have a trip at the same time, they'll come watch them. And it really does take a village. Like I rely on neighbors for school drop-offs and pickups, friends. It's just always this crazy game of Tetris. It's never just like a well-oiled machine, but it's like, I feel like you just have to accept that and like have your expectation meet reality so that you're not constantly disappointed.
Yeah. That's really good. It does take a village. That's so good.
It's so true. If I didn't have the community that we have around us, I just don't think, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also very isolating. It can be isolating at times. Like my schedule is so unpredictable that I think I get disconnected from our community really easily. And then you just start believing all the lies about friendships and your self-worth and, and just looking for identity in things that aren't going to deliver. So it's just a constant battle. It's like, and then there's people who probably would love to have a similar like job situation as I do or whatever. And then they're like, why are you finding something to complain about? So I feel like there's always something we're always left wanting, right?
Yeah.
So I think we just have to like, it's like a training of your mind. Like you can't even like think those things.
Yeah. And like, there's a cost to everything. Like, it's not just like, it's a perfect job, whatever. Like there's definitely stuff that goes into it. So practically, like, how would you say you stay inspired like day to day in trying to manage your time and manage your heart?
Oh, it's a great question. Managing my time is not my best work. I feel like okay, so I live and die by my calendar. And sometimes we joke that that's how Ryan and I communicate. Like, and we came up with like a plan that like if your thing that you're putting on the calendar is the second thing on there, like if I have a meeting and then he puts something on the calendar, then he's in charge of getting childcare.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So that makes like, we figured that out, and it like, cause we kept letting things fall through the cracks, and then we like wake up in the morning and I'd be like, what's your day look like? And he'd be like, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, well, I have this. And like, who's gonna, and so we had to figure like out I don't know, a good system. And then, I have a really strong couple girls that work for me that really care about this brand, and they're always there to pick up whatever slack is left. And I had an assistant for a while who was amazing, and she helped with like, the day to day, just like, she just like ran it. She like knew like, this job's booking, so I'm putting it on the calendar, and I'm like, gonna staff things. But she got a better opportunity, which is great, and I'm really happy. And so I'm without an assistant right now, and then I'm like believing the lie that like I can do it. But I'm starting to think like, I don't know. It's just such a tricky thing when you're a small business. It's like, I don't have, well, at least I don't think I have like the finances to pay someone regularly, or it's just very scary to take that step,
Sure.
And then managing my heart, I don't know. Like, that's just something that I feel like I'm failing at. Like it's funny that you asked that because the last 2 mornings I've been like waking up super early and there's 7 kids in my bed and I can't like get comfortable. And so I just like get up because I'm like, ugh,
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'll sit in the dark, the light of the Christmas tree, and I'll read like Jesus Calling and try to read the Bible, which is so hard for me. But and just try to like spend some time because I feel like it is in our position as moms and working moms and moms that own our own businesses. Like we are being attacked in so many ways. Like just like I was talking about before, like our identity. It's like I feel like I'm just like this delicate little flower out there in the world, like waiting to be like stomped on. And it's almost like I'm viewing my world out of that lens, which makes me even more vulnerable. So it's like I have to put a stop to that. Like I have control over that. I don't have to just sit here and be a victim of like my own mind. So I just feel like I want to start this habit of, and I come from a background of like just feeling like, I don't know, legalistic things and like patience and doing it for the wrong reasons. And so it's taken me a long time to come back to the idea of a quiet time, which I don't even want to call it that.
I totally feel you. Yeah. I'm like relearning stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is me like dipping my toe back in, but I'm like trying to be very careful with how, like, I don't want it to look like 10 minutes doing this, 15 minutes. Like, hey, if I'm just sitting there drinking my tea and listening to worship music and like just getting to know God again, like, then that's what it's going to look like. But anyways, that's just kind of where I'm at right now with like, like making sure that I'm doing something, not only like self-care, but like, I just don't want to snap at my kids all day. And I don't want the stress of my job to like wear out, like wear me out to where I can't even handle them when they're just being normal kids. But then I'm like losing it. And then we have other kids on our cul-de-sac. So it's like, we have like 8 kids at any given time. And I'm like, no more kids. Over, everyone away.
I really appreciate that. Just the vulnerability and honesty of like where you're at in the season, because I think probably a ton of moms can relate to that, especially those that are in a similar position to you. So yeah, that's so good. I am just gonna roll into this next question. I have another one that I'm gonna swap around, but I guess it kind of plays into these previous questions, and that is, have you experienced mom guilt? And if so, like, how do you overcome that?
Oh, for sure. I do every minute of the day. And I was just talking to Ryan because I just recently went to South Carolina for an event, and it's a conference that I really believe in. I spoke at it last year, and then they asked me to design it this year. But as a designer, you're kind of sponsoring it. So I'm like out of town, not making money. Right.
Okay.
And it's like the end of the year, and he's so over me traveling. And so he never says anything like negative or to make me feel guilty ever.
Yeah.
And he kind of like voiced like, oh, I'm just not looking forward to these next 5 days or 6 days. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't handle the guilt. Like I just lost it. And I'm like, and so it just makes me, I don't know. Okay. I don't know how I deal with mom guilt other than it just makes me freak out. It's there all the time. And because my husband does nothing to make me feel guilty, like it's all self-imposed. I don't know how to not feel that way. Like I don't know if it's like societal, like learned behaviors, like or maybe it's because my kids literally say like, don't go, mom, don't go. And like at the same time, it's like I love what I do. And every trip I go on, I'm like, I get homesick. It's just this funny thing. I'm always homesick. But then when I'm there doing what I love, I'm like inspired and thriving and feel like, like this is like, this sounds so cheesy, but I am passionate about what I do.
Yes.
So I love it. But at the same time, I'm like, my heart is like elsewhere. Like they're doing every night, doing these fun things on our Advent calendar, and I'm not there, And so it's like, I think it's an ongoing process for me to learn what to like say yes to and what to say no to. And I know everyone says that, and it's not rocket science, but it's something that you have to continually like look at for yourself because it changes. And we've also been really like me and Hallie have been really working on building up a team so that we're not traveling for every event. Because if we event, we would be gone 2 out of 4 weeks of the month. Wow. And that's not sustainable for either of us because she's a mom, she has a family, and that's not something I want. That's not what I want my life to look like, So we're building up a team that can handle like the actual install and running of the event. So
Yeah.
it's just like an ongoing thing, trying to do better, communicating with my husband about like his, like where he's at with it, you know?
Yeah.
Figuring out what is too much as far as travel and what is okay, and how to like make that work with like what my passions are, and how I don't want to be totally like removed from my business and
Right.
you know? So I don't know. I just am talking in circles because I really don't have an
No, that's really good. And I actually, I was gonna ask you, like, okay, so I appreciate your passions and like the things that like make you come alive. I really like to talk about that because I think it's easy as moms, like, for certain personality types, it's harder than others. But like, once you become a mom, at least what I'm experiencing is like you fall in love with this baby, and it's so easy to get caught up in like the things you got to do, right? There's seasons for everything. But I think it's important that we're like aware of the passions that we're like born to whatever fulfill,
Mm-hmm.
the callings that we feel are on our lives or whatever. And so like what I'd ask you is like, how does being a mom fuel those things, rather than taking from them?
Well, I think that that this is a very bad time to ask me that question.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I think that honestly, I feel like if I could wake up and ask myself that question every morning, I'd probably have a completely different posture towards my kids. Because,
Mm,
like, right now, this phase of life with, like, I'm feeling very depleted, I think. And um, I feel that my family, my husband included, gets the leftovers, which are like table scraps, you know?
mm,
And so, like, they annoy me very easily. They like talk too much. They always want to be on me. It's like, everyone give me some personal space.
mm.
There's four people trying to sit on my lap right now, and literally, like, I'm gonna throw everybody, you know, like freaking crazy rage.
Uh,
But then there's moments like that when they are cuddling, like right now, like my bond with my oldest daughter, she's almost 6, River, she like feeds my soul right now, like her
mm.
freaking awesome fashion sense and like
Oh,
personality, and like she's such a good friend to her friends, and she's funny and she's silly, and I'm just like, I'm like loving her right now, you know? And I love
yeah.
all the kids, but I think you just go through phases of like really appreciating
Yeah.
certain ones and where they're at, and like you have special bonds at different times with different kids, right? So
Yeah.
I think that for one fuels me. Second, I just think that I have to constantly remind myself that whatever is occupying space in my mind that is causing me to like not be the best mom that I am is not worth it. So I have to like and I think this is, I don't know, hopefully I can figure this out before my kids are like totally ruined. Like it's like this thing that takes forever for me to learn, right? I can't
Yeah.
be so personally attached to everything, to my friendships,
Mm,
to my family relationships, to my job, to my clients. Like I just constantly I want to be the best, and I think because I'm so like focused on that it's actually harming my like
mm.
way, like I want to be the best, but like because I want that so bad, it's actually making me be the worst.
Mm.
If I
Yeah,
just
that's
kind of
fair.
chilled out, like I feel like I just need to smoke weed and then be like the best mom, the best business owner,
Oh, that's
just
awesome.
relax and
Yeah.
realize like just embrace who my kids are right now, and embrace what they need from me, and like embrace that everyone talks to me at once, and embrace that like
Yeah.
everyone's like mom, 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 instead of being like what,
Yeah.
I could be like, yes children, what do you need, my love? That's my goal.
Yeah, that's a really good goal. And I don't good luck with that one. But I
You know
again,
how it
like
goes.
I super appreciate like that it's a season like that's hard, and yeah, yeah, that's so good.
But I also don't want that to be like my cop out or my justification for just like,
Mm,
this is how it is. Like, I don't want to accept it, you know? I
mm,
want to accept it and like go like have grace for myself, but I also want to use it to be like, I don't want to look back on this time with my young kids and remember that I was just always stressed out, or always like
mm,
looking at my phone, or always wishing I was somewhere else, you
mm,
know?
mm,
And I don't like, I mean, for me personally, like being a mom does not come naturally. I'm not like super maternal. I'm not like the one that can sit on the ground and play Legos for hours. Like that is
mm,
not how my mind works.
mm,
And it's super difficult for me to like say, yes, I'll push you on the swing. Like I've
Mm.
tried in my head to just be like, just say yes to them. That's my
Mm.
sitting out in the yard. And all I want to do is like sit there and drink my rosé. And then they want me to push on the swing. And I'm like, oh, in a minute. And I'm like, no. Like just get your ass up and stand there and give them like 3 pushes. Like
Yeah.
babies, you know? And so I think that for a lot of moms, it's like it takes work to feel like we're being a good mom. It's not something that just comes easy to us. And
Yeah.
I hate that that's not something that's out there more. Like I think I spent a lot of years, and sometimes I still do, feeling so shitty that I don't like doing the things that we should be doing with our kids. Like I don't like taking my kids to the park. Like my kids hardly ever get to go to the park. So I'm just like, oh, like I don't
Yeah.
want to stand there and like chat with other moms that I don't know and like
Yeah.
push you on a swing. Like if we do go to the park, I pick parks that don't have swings, which is
That is so
mom of the
funny.
year.
Oh my
But
gosh.
so I don't
No,
understand.
that's yeah.
It's like I want people to like, I don't know. It's like we need to talk about that more, that it
Yep.
sometimes is work and it's
Yeah.
intentional, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to like make progress. I don't want to just sit in this time and be like, well, that's how it is. And I need to have grace for myself. And then
Right.
next thing I know, they're going to college and be like, my mom was a raging lunatic, you know?
Yeah, I really like that view because we haven't had much of that, but I think it's so important. Like, there's absolutely the other side of the coin where it's like remembering like this is a choice too. Like, yeah, with your kids, it's a little bit different as far as the love goes. As far as like with your partner, with your husband, like you've got to choose that love, obviously. But there is a choice too, like with your kids in the day to day. And I really appreciate that perspective and that reminder.
Yeah.
Um, so when you hear the word like legacy, um, what do you think about like when you want to leave a legacy for your kids, like with you and your husband? Like, what do you guys think about that kind of thing, or do you have a desire like when for like what you would leave to them?
Yeah, I think about that all the time. It's like the thought in the back of my head fueling my mom guilt.
Mm.
But I think it's like so important. And I think I look at Ryan and how he parents our kids, and he is always present with them. Like his phone is hardly ever in his face when we're around our kids, and I am not that way. And I can't understand why I can't. I mean, I guess I do understand. Like I think I've built a certain amount of like dependence on it, and it's like a security thing. Like for whatever the reason is, like, okay, I just need to answer text real quick so that like if it's like a work thing, I need to be pulling my weight with Hallie. Like, and if it's a friendship thing, like I can't like make people think I'm not around because I'm already not around. So if I don't text back, like then they're going to stop inviting me. And then if it's like whatever it is, right? I have this like crazy attachment to my phone, and it sucks. And I hate to even admit it. It's like embarrassing and shameful, but it's something that's so real in my life. And I know like even when we're like sitting on the couch watching a Christmas movie together, and I'm like, ugh, it's a Grinch. I don't want to watch Grinch. So I'm just like scrolling at whatever, like looking at rugs or whatever. It's like, my kids don't know what it is I'm doing on my phone, and all they see is like I'm constantly distracted, right? And so for me, it's like I need to nip that in the bud, and I just appreciate Ryan that he doesn't feel that need to like be quick to respond, or he just puts it away. And he creates such fun everyday experiences with the kids. Like it doesn't have to be over the top. He's just constantly like playful and you know, and I want that legacy. I want my kids to remember me as like a fun mom and a compassionate mom and a mom that like sees them.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily feel that I'm on that trajectory or whatever. And I think I can fool myself into thinking like, I'll fix that. I have so much time. And then it's like, no, you don't. Like my kids are the age right now where like, I'm going to either screw them up or I'm going to build them up, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a joke because that's not really true, but it is true. So like the time is now.
Yeah.
So the legacy I want to leave, I want, like if I picture my kids like explaining their childhood and like me as a person, I think of the negative things about me, and I just don't want them to say those things. Like I don't want them to feel like I was snippy all the time, and I like yelled a lot, and I was
Mm.
stressed, and I was distracted, and I worked too much, and all of that. And so it's the balance of like, but I love my job.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily feel like I'm built to be a stay-at-home mom, at least not
Right.
right now. And I want to teach my kids that like you can do whatever you want to
Yeah.
do, but I want to be a really solid quality mom too. And I want them to remember their childhood as like a fun, safe, like completely loved childhood. I want them to be able to feel like, no, like I never had to like beg my mom to look at me, you know? So there it is. I don't know.
That's really good. Well, and I think too, like there's such a like cultural definition of like a good mom that I think like a lot of us like probably put like pressure on ourselves to like look like. But I love that like you and Ryan seem to have like a really cool balance. Like you guys like complement each other in like parenting. It seems that way at least. Like he has strengths where you don't, and you have strengths where he doesn't. But yeah, I think sometimes like I get mad about like the stereotypes of like what it's supposed to look like. I think a lot of that feeds like the mom guilt stuff. At least that's what I've experienced so far. It's like not even far in at all. But yeah, I love that as far as legacy goes. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so I'd like to end with some fun questions before we wrap it up. And the first one being do you have a favorite product for yourself or for your kids that at this point you feel like, I don't know if I could live without this?
Um, Rosé, sparkling rosé.
Girl. Yum.
Sure.
It's
um,
awesome.
it's true. It's the only thing that I could think of.
Oh, I love it.
If this isn't really a product, but this is, I guess it is, but it's not something, I mean, whatever. Our yard. Our,
Oh,
that's like the overwhelming thing in my life is like feeling like my kids can run outside and play or run across the street to the neighbor's house or, you know, go in the backyard, just giving like space for them and a sense of adventure and a sense of independence. Like I feel like products aren't like a huge part of my life because I'm not like super loyal to any major product, and
yeah.
that might suck. That might be a shitty answer, but
I think it's good.
space for them and like room for them to just like run and leave me alone so I could drink my sparkling rosé.
There you go. Well, it's so funny. I always see your pictures like of your kids in your cul-de-sac or whatever videos and stuff, and I'm always like, that is like quintessential like childhood. Like that's the best if you live on a cul-de-sac and you got your buddies like next door. It reminds me of Sandlot.
Totally.
You know, I love it.
It is. It really is the life, and sometimes it's work too because it means you're signing up for like extra kids all the time. Like they just
Sure.
walk into our house at like 7 a.m. on a Saturday.
Oh my
But at the
gosh.
same time, that's like me and Ryan's love language. Like I love that. I love having a home that people feel comfortable just walking in, and
Yes.
people feeling like they want to be at our home it feeds my soul.
Yeah.
So, and we rent our house. We don't own it, and it's our dream to own it someday. But it's like honestly, like it's like we're choosing right now not to own a home because we don't want to leave this cul-de-sac and like what. It's just we recognize how special it is, and I don't necessarily. I feel like we're missing the boat on like financial security and being responsible with our money. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, I know I'm really
I think
torn on that.
that's like changing these days. At least I've heard both ways.
True, I know.
Yeah.
Anybody that owns a home will be like, don't do it. It's
Yeah.
overrated. At
Yeah.
the same time, like I like long to like make like buy a house and just make it my own.
Yeah.
And we've done that to our home. Like we've spent like people would look at us and say, "You're so stupid." Like we've literally like renovated it.
That's awesome.
But in like the cheapest way possible. But like I'm like, hey, we've been there for 5 years. Like no plans on leaving. Like we might as well make it something that we love, and it's like an investment for us.
Right. We never like we had some friends on our or like I lived on a cul-de-sac like we had some friends, but as like time went on, like we never like hung out with our neighbors. It was kind of weird almost. Like everyone's so to themselves. So I think it's so sweet that you guys like have a home where like the cool home where people want to come hang out. Like I always loved that growing up. Like if people wanted to come over to our house, it was like the best.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Awesome. Okay, so do you guys have any favorite holiday traditions with your family?
Yes, my favorite thing we do. So we have this advent calendar and it's an activity advent calendar. So like they open the little box every morning and it has like random
Oh,
activities. And we started this probably 2 or 3 years ago where it was like go Christmas caroling.
oh
And
my gosh.
we did it on our cul-de-sac the first time. And like the neighbors on our cul-de-sac are our age with our age kids and they're like friends we would have even if we didn't live there. You know how sometimes you're like,
Wow.
"Oh, these are like rad neighbors." But you
Yeah,
probably would never like pursue
totally.
relationships with them if they weren't your neighbors. Well, I feel like these people are like people we would do life with even if we didn't
Wow.
like live on the same cul-de-sac. So the first year we did it, we like our kids, me and Ryan, went to our neighbors and we start singing at the top of our lungs at their front
Oh
door.
my
And like they
gosh.
would not answer. They would not answer. So we start screaming louder and louder and louder. But they thought we were like legit carolers and they're like, we don't want to deal with that right now, you know?
Oh my word. Are you serious?
Finally, they opened the door and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we totally thought it was like someone else." And so we like finished singing and then we were like, "Dude, now you guys have to come with us to the next house."
Yes.
And so then we went to the next house and did it and then made them. So then it became this thing where it's like we start with one neighbor, go to the next neighbor, and then all of us. So there's 6 houses on our cul-de-sac. Three
Uh-huh.
of them are like me and the other two neighbors that are like young and like our people that we like really hang out with.
Uh-huh.
And then the other 3 houses, like one is a house with high school kids and like they're super rad. And then the other two are like older couple that don't have kids in the house anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would just like and those 2 houses could so easily be annoyed with like the shenanigans of our cul-de-sac
Yeah.
constant, but they like love it. And so it's just so fun.
Oh.
Like we have all the kids and all 3 of like our young houses, like screaming these crazy
Oh
songs at the older people's
my
houses.
gosh.
It's my favorite thing we do.
Oh,
I love it.
wow. That is so cool. I'm like getting chills. It seriously is like that is such a sweet like memory for kids too,
I
even.
know. And it was
Oh.
like happened so on accident, you know, but now it's like this genuine thing that
Oh.
we all get excited. Or maybe I'm the only one that gets excited for it. I like love it.
That is so fun. Wow, what a great tradition. That's like, I mean, that would be funny, like, especially if you didn't like have a relationship with your neighbors. Like, I wonder how that would go. I should try that this year. That would be pretty funny. Just like
You
start
should. I
screaming,
feel like
singing, like,
there's no way to like build relationships quicker than
no kidding. You know,
singing Christmas carols.
yeah, you know what's funny is like random story, but in college, my first year of college, I just got along with my roommates like really quick, and so we were all like pretty loud. And like our neighbors, like one of the girls came over and knocked on the door and was like, can you guys please be quiet? Like you're being really loud. And we were like, oh shoot, like this is serious. Like she's not. And then she's like, oh, just kidding. You guys just sound like really fun people, and I wanted to hang out with you because she didn't
I
like
love
her.
her.
She
I
didn't
love
like
her.
her. Yeah, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, so be loud if you want to make friends. Is the moral of the story there? Or
You know,
sing Christmas carols. Yes.
if you want to make enemies.
Or yeah, that's fair. That's true. Well, we're hoping that you all make friends this Christmas with your caroling. Anyways.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. And then last thing would be a piece of advice you give to a young mom.
So my I hate to say this advice because I feel like some people will be like, no, that doesn't work for me. But I'm just going to
Say
be
it.
genuine in my
Do
answer.
it.
And I really think that if we all just like relaxed a little bit and like really gave yourself some room to just like chill,
Mm-hmm.
I think your kids will be happier and you will be happier. Some people swear by their schedules though, and that makes them feel less anxiety. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it.
Mm-hmm.
But just giving yourself room, giving your kids room to like just be pliable, just like go with it, roll with it, you know? And I feel like, and I know there's like so many different styles of parenting. And so whatever the best way for you to like get through this life that we
Mm-hmm.
all live is go for it. But I just would say like don't try so hard to like stick to things. Like we all have these expectations of the kind of life we're going to give our kids and like what that looks like, and then your kid comes and they don't stick to like your expectations and they don't stick to your schedule, and then you're constantly miserable, and then your kid's miserable because you're pissed. And like
Yeah.
I would say like chill, you know? And
That's
then
fair.
also support each other. There's been so many times where I'll be at the park and a mom will say something and it's just like, can we just all recognize that we're all in this together?
Yeah.
And like I'm on the phone at the park and you are looking down on me because of that. But then I'm also like a business owner that can take her kid to the park during the day because I can be on my phone. So like, can we all just like give each other the benefit of the doubt and stop judging? And like, I just feel like there's times where it's easy for us to like look at someone that shows up at the park and the kid has a Slurpee and be like, oh my goodness, that mom, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you guys, like, relax. Like, we all do things differently. And it's just like, let's change that culture of like trying to be the better mom and having an opinion about what everyone else does with their kids instead of having an opinion about it. How about put yourself in those shoes and try to like understand it or just say, I don't need to have an opinion. Like, you don't have to give your kid a Slurpee, but you also don't have to like be bummed that they're giving their kid a Slurpee.
Totally.
So anyways, that's my 2 cents.
That's really good. Yeah, I'm a fan of Brené Brown, and I read her recent book, but one of the quotes in there is people are hard to hate, close up, move in. And like that has just been like resonating with my spirit now, especially like with becoming a new mom, because you are like immediately as women anyways, like just faced with so much attack, like just constant, there's just constant like battle of the mind. And I just think it's like so valuable to take that approach is like you're saying, just like relax, give each other the benefit of the doubt, and like put yourself in someone else's shoes. Cause like being a mom, like is gonna, I honestly believe like being a mom is like one of the most attacked positions as a believer, like, cause Satan hates women and the fact that we can give birth. And so, yeah, I think it's even more important that we take that stance and remember like who the real enemy is, honestly, too.
Totally.
Yeah, that's really good. Jesi, thank you so much for doing this with me and taking time to do this. I always love talking to you. You're just so raw and open, and I so appreciate it. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me and for caring what I think.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Come give me a kiss. I know you won't want this forever.
Thank you guys for tuning in to my conversation with Jesi. She is such a breath of fresh air to me. I love the way that she's willing to go deep and vulnerable. And I hope you're as refreshed as I was. And forgot to ask her at the end, but we have all of her social media links attached to the show notes. If you're interested in getting in contact with her for whatever reason, specifically her design abilities, I really encourage you to reach out. She is funny and fun to be around, and I know you will not be disappointed if you decide to hire her team for any kind of work that you're needing. All right, guys, be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Mommispace for updates on past and future guests. I update it almost every day. Please reach out to me, message me, either place. I would love to talk with you. You can email me at mommispace@gmail.com as well. And if you've loved this show or appreciated it to any extent, I would really appreciate if you could share with a friend, for one, but also a practical way you could help us out, get the word out, and help me to continue producing this show, because it does take a lot of time and energy, would be to leave us a rating and review. This actually helps us with our ratings on iTunes, so that way more people, more mamas can see it and be exposed to the goodness that our guests offer. So if you could do that, that would be amazing. This is a review and rating on iTunes, and I have directions if you're confused on how to do that. If you have an iPhone, that's really simple. All you have to do is go to the podcast app, look up the Mommispace podcast if you've subscribed to it, and you should be able to scroll down and there's an option to write a review. So I would love it if you could do that, or get in contact with me any other way to share how you've been enjoying this show. That would mean so much. Like always, you are amazing, you are enough, and you're doing your very best. See you next week, Mama.